The truth is, this market's getting a little bit tricky. It's not that easy to make those like 10, 20, and 100x's anymore. And I mean, this week I got a payout from one of my investments and I wanted to invest some money in crypto and I was looking for like 10, 20, and 100x investments. And the truth is I found it really hard to find some. And so what I decided to do was to phone 3 of my friends who were the best investors out there. Some of them are from Delphi, some of them invest for themselves, but these are the smartest guys in the world and they know where to find the alpha. And I decided to get them onto a call and ask them where I should park my money. What they don't know is that I'm going to let you guys listen in on the call. So enjoy. This is going to be the highest alpha per minute show that you've ever seen in your life. And please don't let them know that I'm letting in on the call. So I'm not going to beat around the bush today. You know exactly what the show's about. The show's about how we're going to find those 10x and 100x gems in a market that has become a lot harder. And the guys that are joining us today are the 3 best investors in the world. I think José from Delphi, we've got Dennis, and we've got Ishan with us. You're not going to get a better panel of investors than these guys. They don't know that you're coming onto our private call so that I can ask them for investment advice in terms of my stuff. So you guys are in for a real treat. I just need 2 favors from you. The one favor is really simple. Just subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, if you enjoy the alpha, and smash the like button. Let everybody else know that we're spreading so much alpha. The second thing is, I need you to help me. And how I want you guys to help me is just go and get a VPN if you haven't already got one. Use our referral link below. You do this, you keep yourself safe in this bull market. You protect yourself from threats. You don't expose your IP address to criminals and fraudsters and everything else. But mainly, you keep our sponsors happy. They love us. They love the Banter community. We've always been the best supporting community. But now they're coming down, they're saying, look, we need you to help us. And I want you guys to help us by just getting a VPN. The cost of a VPN is so low. It's like, I think it's like $3 a month. And the amount of money that you're going to protect yourself with, $3 a month to protect your entire portfolios and all the life-changing money. So I'm asking you a favor. If you haven't already got a VPN, go and subscribe to VPN, $3 a month. And you make us have happy sponsors so we can bring you these Friday banters. Anyway, as I said, today I don't want to waste time. I want to get straight to it. I'm going to call the guys and then I'm going to get them onto the show and we're going to start talking about the alpha. Let's go. Okay, so I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret. I wasn't actually planning to do this show. This is a completely unplanned show. And the reason why I called you guys together is because I ran out of investment ideas. I'm all clean out of ideas. And I thought, look, what's the easiest way for me to get alpha without having to pay for it? So I thought what I'd do is I get the 3 of you here and basically chat to you about alpha and what you guys are investing in. That way I'll know, I would know exactly what to invest in. So I had to make that confession before we start the show. With that in mind, how is everyone? How's everyone feeling after the ETF trade? José, how are you feeling after the ETF trade? Time to move on?
Yeah, feeling good. Can't wait for, I mean, I think it's going to be much slower than people think for like obvious reasons, but I think it's just like up only in terms of boomer flow into crypto, which I think will be really good for crypto.
Look, we had 187 days or so without any type of correction whatsoever in the Bitcoin price. Now the way I see it is like there's a game of chicken going on between GBTC, which needs to deflate and let out some of the 620,000 Bitcoin that are locked in GBTC, and how quickly the asset managers can actually get money into the fund. And the way that I see it right now, it's like this big, giant behemoth, GBTC, which I just don't see how the institutions bring in more money than the redemptions. Ishan, I see you nodding. Does that mean that you're in agreement that GBTC is the elephant in the room, literally?
Oh, yeah. The sell pressure from GBTC is going to be an overhang for quite a bit. But I do think people are it's starting to get to the point where it's a little bit over indexed on. I think that, I think we're just getting started. I think, we saw all of this run up kind of leading up to Bitcoin ETF. Now there's already ETH ETF chatter. Whether that comes within the time period that people think around like May, June is probably another discussion. But I think that, perception precedes a lot of market movement. So I think that overall, I think we're just getting started. Things are right about to start heating up.
So, I mean, I know you say we're just getting started, but I take it that you think that the Bitcoin trade has kind of had its run. Like we had a good 100% plus on Bitcoin last year in anticipation of the ETF. We touched $48,000. I'll quickly call up a chart for us just so we can quickly look at the chart. So that's the Bitcoin chart. We touched the $48,000 as the ETF happened. We started coming slightly down. We had a great year last year in anticipation of it. And around June, I think this is where BlackRock actually filed, we went up about 100% on Bitcoin. But to me, this trade kind of feels like it's finished. And the trade that I'm seeing here is probably the ETH BTC trade. And ETH was the most hated trade for a long time. Ishan, I know you're relatively bullish Ethereum, or you have been relatively bullish Ethereum. I haven't been very excited about the Ethereum trade, but you seem to be really bullish on ETH. Dennis, you seem to be very bullish on ETH layer 2s or certain ETH layer 2s. Let's walk through the thesis now. Is it Bitcoin time finished and time for ETH?
I mean, I think so. I think ETH this year, especially with ETF, now that the Bitcoin ETF trade has played out, people see how that trade runs now. It's the speculation leading up to the trade, whether if the Ethereum ETF actually gets approved or not. It doesn't have to be 100% chance, but people will still try to price that in much earlier. So I think it's the next most obvious rotation. Layer 2s as well, right? All of the strongest CK layer 2s, things are finally happening this year. And no matter you like it or hate it, like when big projects launch, the narrative will be around there.
What's more powerful, the force of the anticipation of the ETH ETF or the actual inflows of the Bitcoin ETF from the institutions? Like, which one do you think is a more powerful force?
I think for this half year, it's going to be the speculation for anticipation. Long term, it's the actual money, but short term, just look at how people have been reacting to the Bitcoin ETF approval before it came out. It was all news driven. It was like this fake news and this real news within the same day can move Bitcoin like 7. And that's not money flow. That's pure anticipation. So as we lead up this 6 months, I think that's going to be main story.
So I also believe that none of us here are excited by actual ETH. Like, none of us are excited by trading ETH. None of us are excited by the returns that ETH give us. I mean, I don't know, maybe ETH will give us 100% if we're lucky in a period. That's not what we are actually here for. If you want to play the ETH trade, maybe let's just talk about what the best entry points into the ETH trade, if you're looking for something a little bit more exciting than ETH. And by that, I mean, is it the layer 2s? Is it going into things like Lido? Is it going into things like ENS? If you were playing the ETH trade now in anticipation of the ETF, where would you stack your chips? Ishan, I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, I think when people talk about the lack of growth in ETH so far this year, this cycle, I think that people aren't necessarily looking holistically. I think when you look holistically, there's so much ETH beta that is outperforming the market that the value capture is moving in different places where it's not, when you look at Bitcoin, there's not a ton of places where you get Bitcoin beta, right? There's like some stuff on Ethereum like Badger, there is like Stacks and some of the L2 stuff that's coming out, inscriptions, ordinals. It's just like a tiny, tiny fraction of the ETH beta that you can find. You mentioned
ETH is the only ecosystem that has beta, I think. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like ETH is the only ecosystem that actually has good beta. Like, Solana doesn't really, like Bitcoin doesn't really, none of the other L1s have any, like, yeah, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. It's like there's so much value capture to happen. Like, if you're just looking at ETH as a chart by itself, sure, not performing great. But when you look at Arbitrum, 2x, Optimism, 3 or 4x, ENS has been on a crazy run. There's a lot of beta that's actually being kind of gone through the market. So when you look holistically, if you were to look at kind of Ethereum total market cap and the percentage increase there, I think that you would see something a lot more interesting versus, and you'd see a lot of growth there rather than just looking at the Ethereum chart by itself.
So the problem is that all the ones that you've mentioned, when I look at Arbitrum now has a fully diluted market cap of 20 billion. Optimism has a fully diluted market cap of 15 billion, call it. You've got the smaller layer 2, so you've got you can call it Metis is probably another one that we can talk about. Got a fully diluted valuation of $1 billion. Where is the massive upside in the ETH ecosystem? Like, I don't believe that Arbitrum can do a 5x and take us to 100 billion fully diluted, because that would make it bigger than most of the current layer 1s. So I'm looking like, if I just feel that and the way that I see it is probably the way the community see it. Would I invest in Arbitrum at 20 billion or in Solana currently? I just think for me, it's kind of a no-brainer that there's probably more upside in Solana, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. What do you guys think? Where do we go to get the outsized upside if we want to take the ETH trade? Dennis, what do you think?
I think you got to focus on the newer projects. Like, a lot of people are still, they've been turning away from layer 2s for a while, and there's still some giants to launch this year. Like zkSync is probably going to be this year. Starknet said there will be this year. Have like smaller things like Linea, that's zk layer 2 made by Consensus, right? The largest infra company in Ethereum. You have 𝗓𝗏, you have 𝗕𝗘𝗙, you have Manta that just launched. It's going to do quite well, I think, and especially with new wave of how layer 2s can work, with how they integrate, restaking native yield with Blast. I think Blast just went on testnet. And how they integrate, modular with Celestia. There's a lot to play with there. And if you only look at, of course, like Arbitrum Optimism, those will sustain and those will kind of remain good, but their upside is probably limited. But you really got to dig a little bit deeper. And I think there are a lot of strong layer 2s launching this year still.
So you were talking about Manta. I know you've been talking about, I've been following your tweets. By the way, guys, if you don't follow 𝗫𝗏𝗡𝗆, this is probably a great time to follow him. That's the Twitter account. You've been very bullish, Manta. Why are you so bullish?
I think they know how to adapt. I think I'm really bullish on their team. So I've been following this project since their Polkadot days. They did Polkadot crowd loans 2021. This guy was, Kenny, his team was one of the first to adopt Polkadot and even contribute to their core code base. But we saw how that played out. So they did play the Polkadot game and they had to pivot away and do zk and do now modular, but they're able to make everything fit together. So they have multiple networks and they are able to make their community whole as well from back in the days, as well as this latest airdrop. So I think it's just two things, like community driven and also very adaptable. Like they can adapt to whichever type of layer 2 technology that's strong.
Okay. Jose, if you were trying to capture value in the ETH trade, where would you go and capture value?
Yeah. I think at some point you have to start looking at the applications as well. Like I do think at some point this cycle, the infra premium will just have to flip. Like there's just so much value in L1s and general infra compared to the applications, which are the stuff that you actually do on these L1s, right? And I think applications own the user, and eventually if they don't attract the premium that infra does, they will just roll their own infra and own the whole stack, right? And like we've kind of seen that with 𝗬𝗧𝗏. 𝗬𝗧𝗏 was the application on Starkware, and then they were hugely successful, and then they launched their own chain, rolled their own stack, and now 𝗬𝗧𝗏 v4 has is actually doing more volume than 𝗬𝗧𝗏 v3, right? Their own chain is doing more volume than their instance on Starkware. And on there, I'm pretty bullish on Vertex. I just think it's one of the best perp user experiences on chain. If I had to say my top, I think perps are still the thing that has the most product market fit in crypto. And if I had to say my top 3 perp projects, it would be 𝗬𝗧𝗏, Hyperliquid, and Vertex. Vertex is what I really like about it is it's cross margin and cross collateral. So like it incorporates a money market, which is what you need to make this stuff like cross margin and cross collateral, right? You need to be able to lend to people when their P&L isn't necessarily when there's mismatches in short-term P&L. It's a really good team, and I just think the product, like if anyone if you haven't used it, I recommend giving it a try. I just think it's one of the cleanest like experiences in DeFi. So, and obviously it's like pretty, like it's sort of expensive when you compare it to most perp dexes out there. Obviously 𝗬𝗧𝗏 is still like trading 10x or so above it. But I just think there has to be at some point a repricing towards applications because, yeah, I mean, if you think about it, like a layer 1, the true value of a layer 1 should be the market cap of its application ecosystem, right? Both in private and public, like public tokens and private raises, because that's literally the value that investors are ascribing to the applications built on top of this infrastructure, which should be the value of this infrastructure. And I think for a lot of these all L1s that are already trading at multi-billions, sometimes the ratio is incredibly steep, like between the value of the applications on their ecosystem to the L1. And I just think that gets repriced over time. But yeah.
So the Vertex, I mean, Vertex, just to finish off this discussion, fully diluted valuation of just under $300 million. It's quite a recent launch, so I don't think we have a lot of price history, but the high was about 48, which is $480 million. Do you think there's still value at 290 million FDV?
I mean, yeah, I think, again, I'm not investment advice, but I think they're competing to be the #1 perps protocol in crypto. And to me, a decentralized perps protocol in crypto. And to me, that's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity for sure, among all of them. There are some points of centralization in the Vertex stack and things to consider. But yeah, I think the winning decentralized perp DEX, because I also think the winning like decentralized perps ends up also issuing the winning stablecoin, decentralized stablecoin, and you can just integrate a lot of the stack, because if you think about stablecoins, every single successful stablecoin was built around an exchange, right? You had USDC around Coinbase, Tether around Bitfinex, and then BUSD around Binance. Those are the top 3 stablecoins. And it makes sense because it's the most capital efficient place to put your capital. It absorbs the most capital, therefore it can mint a stablecoin against it, and it can make users use their stablecoin in a way that no one else can, right? So I just think being the winning perp DEX and the winning DEX just affords you a bunch of opportunities to like integrate vertically upwards, like whether going to your own chain or anything like that, because you just own the user in what is right now the thing with the most product market fit in crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I listened to Multicoin's investor call this week, and I mean, they're a very good, very reputable investor. And I mean, they echoed 2 things that you actually said. The first thing is that they echoed that what they're most excited about in 2024 is the ability to trade, and they also said to trade things that weren't previously tradable. They said exchanges are used to trade things that are easy to price, and they broke down their whole thesis. The other part of the thesis that they broke down, which is very similar to what you said, is that the layer 1, that they are comfortable to start moving up the tech stack. And that's quite unique from Multicoin. They've always said, look, we're the layer 1 investors, and they were very skeptical to go above the layer 1, because they almost said, we have to solve the layer 1 problem before we go into the application problem. Question, is the layer 1 problem solved now? You've got Solana with Friday Banter, which they say will do 1 million TPS. You've got multiple iterations. You've got Neutron. You've got all these Say, which has come out with, I don't know, slightly less validators, but very, very, very quick time to finality. I mean, I had a chat this week to Saga, which is a project which is launching on Cosmos, and they've got this concept of the chainlets or the subchains that don't settle on the main chain but actually use the same validators. Have we solved the scalability problem? And like, who are you most excited about when it comes to, who do you think is going to lead in the fast blockchain race?
I think anyone that tells you that they know exactly where this is going is lying to themselves. I think we're still so nascent, right? When you look at like kind of on a longer horizon timescale, you look over, rather than 10 years, which is like the size of the industry at the moment, you look over like a 50-year time horizon, and I think things are going to look very differently. I know people that are now getting like bullish again on like DAGs and things like that. I think like, the one that I'm really excited about is I think Monad. I think parallelized EVM is like a lot more than just a meme. And I think there's a lot of efficiencies to be created there. Now, when you get into like this, the scalability, trilemma, and those components, I think there's a lot more nuance there that's to be kind of figured out. I think this kind of goes into like Eigenlayer, which is like another area I'm really excited, like AVSs and being able to take validator sets and take them to other places. I think that kind of solves a little bit of the decentralization problem and like bootstrapping validator sets. But overall, like I think parallelized EVMs, I'm also like pretty bullish on, Move VMs. I think that's like another area where,
you mean like Aptos and Sui? You mean when you say Move VMs, talking about Aptos and Sui primarily?
Exactly. Yeah. We backed a team. We backed a team that's doing a Move VM on an L2 movement labs. We're super excited for kind of Rushi and the team there. They're, being able to bring a lot easier developer languages and environments to, maybe the liquidity set of an EVM, or, if you can kind of bootstrap that liquidity and the users, on like a Sui or an Aptos, there's, I think, a lot of opportunity. I think we're still far from like coming to an exact finality. I do think lindiness is really important, which is why I am still bullish EVM, because I do think lindiness is, like best tech doesn't always win, right? There's like there's the VCR example, and there's so many examples historically of like best tech not winning out of lindiness. So I think lindiness is very underrated, but I think we got a long way to go to figure this thing out.
Dennis, do you think the layer 1 problem is solved, or do you think that there's still space for 100 other or 10 new iterations?
I think for DeFi's sake, it's pretty close. Like we're just targeting like the final kind of financial transaction scalability issue is around high frequency trading. Is around really like once you reach a point where you can subsidize, you know, your gas costs and transactions feel like they're Web2 like, that's good enough. So we're almost there. I would say like after EIP 4844, and especially when you combine parallelized with EVM, you know, obviously Monad, say, I think Eclipse is also pretty interesting, bringing, you know, SVM to Ethereum. I think so for DeFi's sake, I think it's almost there. I do think for other use cases like social, like gaming, storage, there's probably, yeah, gaming, where you want to experience doesn't feel like a blockchain at all. Maybe there's something still there. Gaming is starting to be okay because people are willing to go a little bit more centralized. But I think for like, you know, on-chain social media, people, stuff like DePIN, I think those areas are still a lot earlier.
Jose, what do you think in terms of, I know you guys were very bullish on the Cosmos ecosystem. I think if you look at a lot of these new L1s, a lot of them are Cosmos, using Cosmos SDK, iterations of Cosmos. What do you think? Like, do you think that the layer 1 problem is close to being solved?
I mean, I think there's always going to be experimentation at the layer 1 level, and I always see it as like probabilistic, you know? Like I think there's some chance that the monolith, like you can divide it into like thesis buckets, right? Like one is maybe the integrated or like monolith bucket, where I think Solana is the clear, like undisputed leader. Like the other ones are very far behind in terms of traction of the ecosystem, in terms of like just battle testedness, right? Like what Solana's been through, like, you know, 𝗬𝗢𝗓𝗪, and, you know, we're investors in some of those, but they haven't been through what Solana's been through, right? So if you're an app developer, that goes a lot into your choice. And then there's maybe like the modular thesis, where I think there's an increasing number of options. Like there's going to be Dimension going live soon. We backed Initia. There's obviously a lot of roll-up as a service options on Ethereum too. I think EIP, the new EIP plus, you know, Celestia is going to reduce the costs a lot for rolling your own roll-ups. So I think there's a lot of options. I think Cosmos customizability still gives you something that you can't really get from any other stack, which is just the ability to customize your stack entirely to your own needs. Like what 𝗬𝗢𝗓𝗏 did, they looked at every tech stack out there, right? And it's really impossible to do like this in-memory order book anywhere else. And I think there's going to continue to be use cases for which the Cosmos SDK is very differentiated, and in which applications that succeed elsewhere end up with Cosmos SDK because they sort of expand vertically upwards, right? They want to own the entire stack, make optimizations, not have to pay transaction fees to somewhere else, not have to share block space, all that kind of thing. And one thing I like about the Cosmos as well is on Ethereum, whenever a new launches nowadays, people are just pissed, right? They're just like, oh, this is a multi-sig, you know, because it's sort of fragmenting attention, liquidity, and all of this away from the main ones. And because composability wasn't like a priority, it ends up creating that fragmentation. Whereas for Cosmos, every new L1 that launches is incredibly bullish, like the Cosmos DeFi ecosystem, because it increases just like the market cap of the interchain ecosystem and the stuff that can be traded on the Cosmos DeFi rails, right? Like when TIA launched, it was a huge bullish moment for Cosmos. When DYDX launched, it was the same. Once Anoma launches, it's going to be huge. Wormhole is going to be a huge launch. And I think that's what's cool about the Cosmos, like putting sort of composability first. It just means that these launches end up being like positive sum rather than zero sum. So yeah, I think there's still always going to be innovation at the app layer, and especially on Cosmos. But I do think for most applications that we have right now, there's like excess block space rather than.
That's my point. That I also feel that we're getting to a point now where, like, just look at Solana, and they're talking about 1 million TPS, and, you know, they may even hit it. What are we going to do with 1 million TPS for the next 10 years? Like, what are we actually going to do with that? And that's before you bring in Aptos and Sui and the Move languages, which the Move chains, which are going to be very, very, very fast. I think those chains just haven't had their DApp moment yet. Like we haven't seen a killer DApp launched on Aptos. We haven't seen a killer DApp launched on Sui. I know the tech is exceptionally strong. I've taken a deep dive into Sui, and I mean, the tech is amazing. The only problem is that they're a bunch of techies, and because they're a bunch of techies, they're not very good at marketing themselves and marketing what they're doing. But I know that one day they'll have their moment, and then we're going to land up with a whole lot more block space. Question. If I'm a dev and I'm looking to get into blockchain and build a DApp, why would I go onto Ethereum layer 2 and not just go directly onto an L1 that's going to settle very, very fast in the days? I understand it back in the day when there wasn't a Solana, and I use Solana as a proxy for any successful L1. But why would I go and build on Optimism or Arbitrum and then, you know, deal with the, you know, I'm not settling onto a main chain, and then I have to bridge money from the main chain to the layer 2, and I have to bridge it back, and that's a whole spaghetti of, you know, then there's ZK. What is the benefit today for a dev of building onto an ETH layer 2 versus going to build onto some kind of L1 chain that settles very fast? Jose?
Yeah, there's a bunch of benefits, right? I mean, first of all, the EVM stack is way more mature than any other stack out there, like in terms of dev tooling and everything like that. Obviously, Move, like a lot of people would consider it a superior language, but still, like the tooling is way lacking, right? There's also the fact that you can have this native bridge to ETH, which we saw how powerful that is, even with something like Blast, right? And I think that ETH liquidity is still going to be one of the main reasons that people stay close to the ETH ecosystem. There's like ETH has like the majority of the innovation still happens on ETH first. And, you know, I say this as someone that's super bullish, Sol and Cosmos, obviously, but almost everything that's like net new in crypto still happens on ETH first. Like there's hackathons happening all over the world every month on Ethereum where people are coming up with new stuff that then can be leveraged by others. And like ENS, right, is on ETH. There's like all sorts of primitives that if you want to tap into with your application, if you want to compose with these things, you have to be on ETH. And yeah, and I think that's the main, like, there's just a big network effect that ETH has that I think it sort of goes through periods, but right now people are like very much underrating it. I think how much of an advantage ETH has, and also just the fact that it's Lindy, right? If you build your app in EVM, you'll always be able to go somewhere, right? There's tens of chains that you can go to that all support EVM, whether it's Avalanche or Polygon or a bunch of the L2s. Whereas if you go to Solana, and it doesn't work out, I mean, I guess Eclipse, once that launches, will be an option, but there just aren't like as many options, right? So I still think there are good reasons for dApp developers to stay close to ETH.
Ishan, anything to add?
Yeah, I think those are the exact points I had in my head. I think it's lindiness, right? There's liquidity, there's users. I think that's, you know, you can fork a lot of things, like good luck forking, you know, billions and billions of liquidity, right? I think that there's also a research component. Jose kind of hit on this a little bit of, you know, all of the newest and most interesting research that happens in the space. Like, say what you want about the EF. I mean, you know, a lot of people think they might not be kind of the best engineers. And a lot of people say Solana engineers, in a purely engineer perspective, like Solana might be better engineered. But when you look at research and innovation in the space, there is no better place to find what is the newest, most interesting things happening in the entire kind of Web3 ecosystem than like the EF forums and the dev forums. Like that's where all the innovation happens. So I think like it's lindiness and it's the research and the innovation. Where is that happening? And that's what gets more developers excited. That's what opens up the mind to different opportunities in the space. I think we're still kind of scratching the surface about everything that's possible using smart contracts. And so, you know, you need that kind of inspiration and like, you know, where are people thinking of interesting things? It happens in the Ethereum ecosystem. And so that's why I think it's just too powerful, too lindy. I don't think it's going anywhere anytime soon.
Dennis, anything to add?
I think just summarizing everything, right? Ethereum is the chain for DeFi. It has the longest provenance. When you deploy your CryptoPunk, you know that on ETH, it's not going to disappear, whereas on another chain, Solana is kind of reaching there, but still, right, you kind of have a different feeling. And if you're farming like 7 figures, you natively prefer Ethereum versus other chains, just for a safety perspective. And then from retail side, when you look at, you know, when you engage with someone that has dealt a little bit with crypto before, you know that they know how to treat the Ethereum address, to at least have heard of MetaMask. it's not a big jump for us because we touch so many other chains, but it took them years to even get there. So even a little bit of barrier is something.
That's the other thing. Yeah, MetaMask is by far the most used wallet in crypto for all its faults. And then ETH just also has like a bunch of rich people, right? A bunch of rich degens on chain that can use your dApp, buy your token. Like it's the sort of like NASDAQ or whatever of crypto, right? You kind of saw it with Rollbit back in the day when it went from Solana to Ethereum, right? The effect that had. Although now you're kind of seeing the reverse happen, which is interesting. But yeah, I still think it's. I mean, I do think the ETH, the asset, is in a tougher spot just because if all the activity moves to L2s and then you have data availability being done by Celestia, like the actual value that accrues to ETH from L2s, like the call data, isn't that significant. But to me, ETH is money. You know, I think that's the like.
Do you have ETH in your portfolio?
That's true.
Because you're a degen. Do you have ETH in your portfolio? Honestly, I know you. I know you're an absolute degen, and I know that like small returns don't interest you. I have to ask: do you have ETH? Is it a significant part of your portfolio?
I mean, my base asset is like mostly ETH and a bit of Bitcoin. Like that's like my base asset in my portfolio actually. But I'm definitely, most of my net worth is in far more degenerate stuff. But like ETH is my base asset and like my safe haven. And I don't know if I had to hold for 10 years, it would be tough between ETH and Bitcoin for me, honestly. I'm that bullish ETH. So
if you had to hold for 10 years between ETH and Sol, where would you put the money? ETH and Sol, 10-year time frame. Where do you put your cash? You have to pick one. You can't split your money.
All cash?
All your cash.
Or probably ETH. I don't want to lose all my. More important to minimize chances of losing. But I mean, I think
that's called risk management. For those in the audience,
yeah, exactly.
That's called risk management, and that's quite strange because Jose is actually a poker player. So like, it's quite strange that he's taken the thing. Ishan, 10 years time horizon, ETH or Sol?
10 years is a really tough question. I mean, I would still go ETH pretty comfortably. 5 years. That is a very, very good question. I still think I'd go ETH. I think maybe if you did like a 2 or 3 year time horizon, I'd probably go Sol. But I did want to make one point while we're kind of bull posting ETH is I think there's 3 big things that are kind of on the horizon that are going to make this kind of next few months really interesting. So you have 4844. EIP 4844, which is going to kind of reduce a lot of the costs for L2s to be posting on L1. And so that's going to make L2s a lot more efficient, a lot more cost efficient. They're going to become better businesses overall.
1/10. They're talking about is it 1/10 or 1/100th of the price, if I'm not mistaken. I saw the numbers this week, and it makes it like a really, really, really efficient.
Definitely. So I think there's 4844 that's going to create massive efficiencies. There's the ETF narrative, right, which as we've seen is like a really strong trade. And I think the area that not enough people are talking about is Eigenlayer, which I think is, if you think Keto and some of these other pieces were like nice boosts for the Solana ecosystem, I think like Celestia was nice. I think Eigenlayer is going to dwarf Celestia.
So just quickly, walk the viewers, because I think we are on the inside. I think a lot of us are investors in Eigen, but just walk the viewers about what Eigen does and why you're so bullish about it.
Yeah, it's the ability to take a validator set, right? The thing that's really powerful about Ethereum is I think that I think Solana has about 3,000 validators. I think Ethereum has it's 80,000 or 800,000 validator. It's a massive number, right? Like it dwarfs anything else in comparison. And so the ability to validate trust and to have people put up stake in order to confirm a single source of truth is, I think, it is, I think 𝗬𝗏 frames this really well, where it's the coordination highway, 800,000. And so it's like this coordination highway that can be kind of modularized and taken to different places. So basically you can create a source of truth that people are essentially putting their money against to confirm the truth of, which I think there's like no more powerful source of truth than people that are willing to put up their hard-earned money or their hard-earned stake in order to confirm. And so being able to take that truth and restaking, there are definitely risks. I think people are undervaluing the risks associated with Eigenlayer and kind of the rehypothecation of things. But just conceptually, that's something that's unforkable, right? Like no one's going to want the trust of 3,000 Solana validators that all sit in Discord chat together, right? But when you have 800,000, Ethereum validators that are able to kind of, show and provide, trust, which is essentially exporting like the trust of validators, I think that's like innumerable. And like I think we're still not even understanding, and even I'm not fully understanding just like how big of a deal this is going to be, and the new innovations that are going to be created, and how much more trustlessness we're going to have kind of in the world. So without getting like too hyperbolic, I do think that, and then on top of that, you have like eigenlayer points, you have the LRT, the liquid restaking points, and so these are all going to be massive, like a kickstart to the entire Ethereum ecosystem. Now, the only caveat is that I do think the Solana trade is kind of left curve, and I think that the Ethereum trade is right curve, in that, like you can crush it on Solana by buying Bonk and Whiff and a lot of the, meme coins, and just doing airdrop farming and things like that. I think on the right curve, the Ethereum trade, it's not going to be as simple as like just buy ETH and sit back and relax. Like if you want outsized returns in a volatile industry, I think you have to be a lot more strategic, which is why I think, whether it's L2s or it's, beta like ENS, I think there's going to be interesting, like incredibly valuable trades that come out of the kickstart that Eigenlayer gives. But I don't think it's going to be as simple as just like sit there and buy ETH.
Jose, what do you, I see you nodding, just you're as excited, I take it?
Yeah, we're investors in Eigenlayer. Definitely excited. I do think that like the supply side makes a lot of sense for restaking. I think the demand side is going to be like tougher than people think. I think like economic security is like a meme. Like you've seen chains be 51% attacked, and it was kind of fine, right? Like ETH Classic of 51% attacked, and like realistically, that's not really like the security low hanging fruit, right? Like whenever blockchains launched, people thought that governments were going to do all sorts of things and coordinate to control hash power and stuff and attack Bitcoin. But they just pass laws, right? That's the easiest way to attack, is like passing laws, and I think that'll always be
so true,
the easiest way. And I also think that like application developers don't want to use ETH. Like I see Eigenlayer as like ETH alignment as a service, which definitely has a place. But application developers also want to make money, right? So they want to put their own token in the mix. They don't want to use ETH for security, because a lot of the like business model of these tokens is actually to be the security for their application, right? Whether it's Chainlink or Oracles or something like this. I just don't know how many high quality teams are going to just like ETH alignment's nice when it pumps your bags, but if that's all, like it's not as nice when you're like giving up all the upside and the narrative for your token. So I think the demand side will be like harder and slower than people think, but I think it doesn't matter. Like it's going to be huge regardless.
Dennis, anything to add, or can we move on to the real degen part of the show? Because I think this has been fun. We've spoken about ETH, Solana, Bitcoin, but I think it's time to start degenning. So unless you got anything to add, let's get into the degenness.
Yeah, I just think, like Eigen is cool. I think Ishan has opened some different perspective that I didn't think about. I always thought it was just LRT based, liquid staking based, but drawing like a real comparison between Eigen DA and Celestia now is probably the first possible use case that is actually something there. Yeah, interesting for sure.
Okay, let's get into the degen. So we've spoken about all the big tokens, but I mean, people here are here for alpha. And I think we spoke about, like, if you were to hold one token for 5 years, what would it be? We got to ETH. If I were to say to you, listen, you're allowed to hold 3 tokens each. And we're welcome to go above 3, but you can't go below 3. If I would say to you, the tokens that you're most excited about in the cycle, that are not Bitcoin, that are not ETH, that are not Sol, what are the 3 tokens that you're holding from now until the end of the cycle? And let's say at the end of the cycle, just for simplicity, is 1 year after the halving. So I'm kind of trying to get the narratives that you guys are playing, and let's say minimum 3 narrative-based plays that you guys are excited about. And you don't have to give them all 3 at once. So you can start with 1, and we can go to the next person just to get some kind of flow here. Ishan, let's start with you. Just give us 1 token or 1 narrative that you're really, really, really excited about.
I think the trade of the cycle is DePIN. So for those that don't know, DePIN is decentralized physical infrastructure networks. I think just on face, let's take Aave, for example. Aave is awesome. Aave has done a lot of great for the industry. There is an Aave on every single chain that you find. And if you don't think that that hampers the growth of that ecosystem and that project and the amount of TVL that they can capture and the amount of value that they can capture, I don't know what to tell you, right? So, you know, strictly code-based projects are very forkable. Good luck trying to fork a physical infrastructure network. So I think there's just an inherent moat there that I think as TradFi folks get into the space, they're going to find very interesting. And on top of that, the use cases that are coming out in DePIN are incredibly interesting.
So
one that I'm really
what are the ones that you like? Because I want to get into the nuts and bolts here.
Yeah, so I'll give you one that's really interesting that I've been friends with the team for a little bit. DIMO. They're on Polygon proof of stake, but they're going to be deploying on CDK. They're really interesting. So if you remember that there used to be those progressive commercials about you can put these hardware devices into your car, and then it'll kind of take the data for your car and it'll give you cheaper. Cheaper insurance, right? They'll look at your driving history and they'll give you cheaper insurance. So they've built a decentralized version of that hardware that allows you to plug into your car and then creates a two-sided data network where then you can eventually, once they bootstrap the demand side, be able to take your information, give the only information that you want to, for example, the miles that you drove, and maybe sell that to your car manufacturer like Tesla, or take the quality of your driving and sell it to 5 different insurance companies to allow them to bid against you for your insurance business. I think that is a really interesting use case. They're actually shipping out in January.
Is that a listed project, or is it a token yet, or no token yet?
Yeah, it's liquid. It's in market. They're doing some really interesting stuff. They're about to ship their hardware. I think they're shipping 3,000 pieces out. DIMO.
Okay, so DIMO's up a little bit. It's got a fully diluted valuation of $500 million. Do you still think there's value at $500 million fully diluted?
I think FDV is a meme. You know, like if we're looking at, you mentioned like a year. And so if we're looking at a year timeline, like I don't remember off the top of my head the investor unlocks and things like that, but I think like circulating supply is the way to go, and like understanding investor unlocks and when more supply is hitting the market leaves you much better off than just looking at massive FDV numbers. So I'm definitely like FDV is a meme.
Good. We're gonna let you off the hook. You've got one under your belt, Dennis. Let's go to you. One token that you think is going to be really good in the cycle.
First one I have is DESO, decentralized social. I think. Yeah.
So wait, that was BitClout. DESO was BitClout.
That was BitClout.
It was the migration of and BitClout was a failure. I mean, it was V1. It was unusable. I tried it, and I had, you know, I really did my best to use it. And yeah, I mean, didn't really enjoy it. I do know that the token is starting to come back. Tell me why you're bullish.
Yeah, I think these guys are two sides, right? The product side, BitClout, they were clearly able to market this idea of social tokens before Friendtech, right? It's Friendtech 0.1 before Friendtech took over the idea. Social media side, like they fully recognized how the kind of Ponzi-nomics in social doesn't really work. You got to really think about posting real content, privacy around the content, transparency, who owns this content, etc., how this content is shared and liked. So they're really moving from the DeFi side to the infra side to make sure that you can run any type of content on this layer 1 blockchain. So now they have essentially forked every single type of social media platform out there. You have YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, you know, chat, everything on chain. And what's cool about this is not only is it for storage, but it's also for smart contracts. So you combine both. You don't have to use your Filecoin in combination with Solana to make this happen. Everything's together.
Okay, fair enough.
And the team, right? The team is this is funny, but the team founder is
he was part of another. Yeah, he was part of another project, which was Was it like some kind of cloud of the Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was like UST Luna before it happened. So UST, 𝗏𝗏 took his idea, forked it, made it basis cash, and then later on made it into UST. So this guy is OG tokenomics.
Wasn't basis cash? Didn't they eventually just return the money to the investors or something?
Yeah.
Yes, I was an investor in that, and actually, I remember getting the money back. So okay, so that's him, Jose. So that's your pick, Jose. I want to hear this. Because wow, okay, I think I know what it's going to be, but I want to hear it.
Yeah, just to note, like basis cash was based on the seniority shares model, which was like an economic paper that everyone based this model on. I forget the name of the economist now, but it's a famous paper. Yeah, again, this is you have to be careful, like not investment advice. Obviously, we helped incubate this, and we own a lot of it, so there's conflicts here, etc. But yeah, definitely ASTRO is my.
I was gonna say because it's mine as well. It's mine as well. It really is mine as well.
Nice.
So let me tell you what I think.
Yeah,
so just tell me if this is your thesis. For me, I know Cosmos is the best technology, or I think a lot of chains in Cosmos are going to win, and I think that ASTRO just has proven that whatever chain launches on Cosmos, ASTRO is the optionality, because once you get the network effect of being the biggest DEX on one chain or two chains or three chains or four chains, then you become the biggest DEX across the whole ecosystem, and then you become the biggest DEX across most the chains that will launch. And that's my thesis. I actually did a whole show about it, saying, you know, always buy the layer one, the DEX and the meme coin. And then if you want the DEX that is the optionality across multiple things, then yeah. But is that the
yeah,
thesis?
I think that's a good, you showed it for me. Like, yeah, I think there's no beta play for a lot of these alt L1s, right? Say is trading at like $8 billion. Injective's trading at 5 or 6 billion, Neutron's trading at 1.5 billion, Terra's at $1 billion or whatever, and there's not really a good beta play on any of them. And Astroport is again like the #1 DEX on each of those chains. It has like 95% market share on all except Injective now, actually, where there's a competitor that's sprung up, but has like
who is the
very dominant
competitor?
market share on all of
Who
those.
is the competitor? Is it
I don't even want to give them the airtime.
Oh man. Is it called Helium?
It's Dojo. It's called Dojo.
Dojo. Okay.
Yeah. No, Helium is Helios is the injective trading module. Yeah, yes. The injective trading module.
Okay.
But Astroport's got some, and so I think like the focus of Astroport is and Astroport's trading at like 300 million fully diluted, and I agree that fully diluted is a meme, and it's a meme, although it depends on like what the fully diluted is, right? They're very different from each other. Like some fully diluted is 70% is owned by investors and it's going to unlock, in which case that is not a meme, that is going to fall on your face. But a lot of the time fully diluted, it's all sitting in a treasury that's controlled by governance, right? In which case it's very different. Like it can be burnt, but it's not going to hit the market. And with Astroport, about 60% sitting in a treasury controlled by governance. And then, the real focus is just like making passive liquidity as efficient as possible. Like I think people are underrating passive liquidity a lot in crypto generally. Like everyone hates on 𝗥𝗦𝗂 and like says order books are the best and all this stuff. And I mean, there's definitely some valid points there, but I do think like the fact that 𝗥𝗦𝗂 is the simplest, dumbest AMM still has like tens of billions of dollars of capital in it just shows me that this is something that has product market fit. People want to provide passive liquidity for whatever reason, and it's going to stick around. And if you can improve that basic model, which is kind of what Astroport is really focused on, I think it will absorb a lot of like passive capital in crypto. Like that's kind of and that's really like the focus.
I have a question.
Is launching on any Cosmos native L1. Yeah.
I have a question. So you brought up two DEXs. One of them was a Perps DEX and one of them was Astroport. Both of them have the same fully diluted valuation. Vertex has a 220 billion and Astro has a 220 billion. Where do you put your money?
220 million, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So where do you put your money? They both got the same fully diluted valuation. Vertex Protocol has a 280 million, and Astroport has there or thereabout. Where do you put your money?
Yeah. I mean, I have both. I definitely have more Astro. I just understand it better. Have been like following the project much longer. So I'm more of like a concentrated bets guy, as you know. And so I have definitely more Astro, and I think there's a lot of interesting catalysts too with like VX Astro launching. The fact that launching on Osmosis, I think 𝗕𝗙𝗟𝗢 is an interesting place to think about launching an outpost too, and really just becoming like the dominant AMM. Because like with the passive concentrated liquidity pools, I really think that will be the dominant pool type for like volatile assets. So the native assets of each L1, I think will sit in those pools. And then I think the goal should be like move a lot of these chains to using LP shares as their staking asset rather than like the pure L1 token, really like solidify the dominance even more. And obviously it's not listed on any exchanges yet or anything like that. It's pretty hard to buy. People still pay me all the time asking how to buy it. So I think there's just a lot of stuff that comes together that makes
Agreed.
it.
All right, let's move on a little bit because we are running out of time. Ishan, I'm going to make it one more.
Just one thing.
Yes.
There's cash flows, right? It's doing 30% yield on like real yield right now. It's like it's been doing between 20 and 50 million in daily volume on just all the meme coin mania and all these Cosmos chains.
Look, you don't have to convince me because I think I probably hold more Astroport than the team at present. So I mean, full disclosure, I'm a big investor in Astro, and every single one of my Astroport I actually got either because I invested in Astroport when it was listed on Luna, or I was buying it up at 2 cents and 3 cents during the bear market because I was just like, what am I missing here? Look, while I've got Jose here, if you missed Astroport, don't miss Mars because that's the next one that I think is going to the moon. It's coming soon. Ishan, next one from you, sir.
I'm a big fan of the Delphi bag, so I will shill another Delphi bag. Karate Combat. Big fan of the Karate Combat guys. They are doing something incredibly innovative and interesting. I think that they are kind of the guys that I think are going to solve a lot of this. Like it's gambling, it's gaming, and it's sports.
And it's real life as well, right? So like it's a mix. I gotta be honest, I passed on that trade because it was in the middle of the bear market. And in the middle of the bear market, I just thought that if this bear market goes on, it's not going to take off. But now in the bull market, I'm kicking myself. So because I do think in the bull market, it's a great narrative.
Yeah, I met Only LARPing, and I met him by happen chance, and I had the deal in my hand, and I dragged my feet on it, and I think it's going to be one of the biggest misses of my whole career. I think that those guys are incredibly sharp.
Jose begged me to get in, and I was like, I can't see this in the bear market, and I'm kicking myself now. I'm literally kicking myself. All right, I'll give that one to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, you see like Logan talking about it. You see Joe Rogan talking about it. It already has mass appeal. I think they're
okay. Enough. You're killing me. You're fucking killing me here. You're killing me, bro. You don't have to rub in the fact that I turned down the deal in the bear market. I feel like I'm kicking myself. Dennis, what do you think?
Great ticker as well.
Say again.
Yeah.
It's a great ticker. Karate.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh man. I'm so bummed about that. I can't tell you. I'm just so bummed about that. Here it is. Let's just get some perspective going here, just so I know how badly I missed it. When they were doing the raise, what was the FDV?
I think it was either between 50 and 100. I saw this as well.
I missed the 10x.
It was 50.
I missed the 10x. Oh man, I hate myself. I want to kick myself. All right, let's not talk about it. I'm just feeling shit because I had the deal in my hand. Dennis, you're up to you, and then we're going to Jose, and then we're done for today, gentlemen.
I'm gonna put Prisma. So Prisma is one of the I would say strongest like liquidity plays in RSD and RSD-Fi. They are basically integrating with every single Ethereum-based liquid staking protocol.
This is the restaking. This is the restaking narrative of your ETH or of your liquid staking token. But this one hasn't got a lot of traction. Like full disclosure, I'm invested in it. And I mean, I just feel like they should have got more traction than they've got at the moment. I don't know if that's is it fair to say it like that?
I think it's just calm. It's just calm before people catch on, because this one is really, it's widely loved by the DeFi OGs in Ethereum, from Convex, from 𝗏, from 𝗏𝗏. Every single type of money market is integrating. It's just complete liquidity game. And when you compare how much liquidity they have unlocked through those partnerships, this really right now, it's just the misprice is very clear. That's just how I see it. It's very, very simple.
All right, cool. Jose, last one from you, because we are completely out of time now. But I do want to get one. And if you want to give us a bonus one, you're more than welcome.
Okay. Maybe this one isn't live yet, but it's a good like farming points opportunity. Athena, which is like actually the t-shirt I'm wearing. I'm here at their offices in Lisbon. I'm really bullish on this idea. Obviously, it's the original stablecoin idea that Arthur Hayes proposed. If you remember, I actually forget the name of the blog now, but this is synthetic stablecoin, right?
The stablecoin that's hedged by a delta neutral. Is that the one I'm thinking about or not? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it takes staked ETH as collateral, and then immediately like hedges that with an equivalent like short ETH position. And so your net exposure is $1, right? Is just like $1 exposure. And yeah, I think they've done an incredible job executing, both in terms of the partners they got on board, of the partnerships with exchanges. If you look at the yield now, it's, you know, and you kind of back test it over the last year, I think it's pretty absurd yield. I think in 2024 this goes to definitely to a billion supply, potentially even higher. And it's just like this really nice yield product, right? That captures this this native yield to crypto, transfers it to holders, and then generates the stablecoin as an offshoot. On the liquidity side, they're like using the yield bearing stablecoin in the liquidity pool with like yield bearing frax and DAI, so SDAI and whatever the yield bearing frax is called. So that's the way to farm points right now. So
because it's not listed, José, because it's not listed, you have to give us another one, bro. Because it's not listed. Okay. And just guys, while he's thinking, because I'm not going to put him on the spot, I'm not that kind of guy. I just want to remind you all that if you want to win $10,000 worth of any of these tokens, so Solana, Ethereum, Sui, Say, Bonk, just go to Banter Bubbles, click on the win big, and predict the price of Solana, Ethereum, Sui, Say, Bonk, and Arbitrum at the end of March, at the end of February. And every month we're giving away $60,000. So every month you can predict. And by the way, if you have an exchange account, you can predict up to 5 times on each one. So go there, Banter Bubbles, make your prediction. You can see people are making predictions right here. So go there and do it. José, over to you for the last alpha of the day.
We're very bullish 𝗕𝗄𝗥𝗗, like the NFT Worlds project. It's going to be launching soon. I know I brought this one to you as well.
NFT Worlds?
But yeah, I think the best chill on that, you can watch our recent like HiveMind podcast. Jan does one at the end. He knows it better than me. Other than that, this one's like larger cap, so the alpha is less there. But Rune has just been crushing it. Like Rune, and like if you look at the real volume going through 𝗏𝗏chain, it's like absurd. It's really awesome to see. This was our OG investment with Delphi Ventures, like the reason we're all here. Like we basically aped our entire net worth into Rune and then just sold that to buy everything else. And it's really cool to see how far they've come. And I think like that they've got a really interesting roadmap for 2024. With launching, I mean, they're going to make it much easier for you to integrate with dApp. I think Astroport would be integrating with it, but also like perps, like native L1 token backed perps on Rune are coming. And if you know 𝗏𝗏chain, it's always going to be like with a twist on the design. Because I don't know if many people know 𝗏𝗏chain currently has like kind of an algorithmic stablecoin in the design. It's just not minted. Yes. But if you think about the lending product, it has an algorithmic stablecoin in there. It just has very low caps, so it's not dangerous. But I do think. I suspect that's going to be the basis of the perp design, and it will. I mean, if it also does perps, I just think it's going to be one of the most cash flow generating like DeFi apps out there. And if you want to go further out on the risk curve, then maybe Maya, which is like a friendly fork of Rune, right? 𝗏𝗏, Maya protocol, which is like a friendly fork of Rune that does longer tail integrations.
Speaking of,
bear in mind the risks here compound. Like Rune's code base is already like. It's massive. Like just this very hard thing they're doing. There's a lot of like surface area of attacks, and obviously if you go further out on the risk curve, there's more of that. But I do think it's one of the projects in crypto that has real product market fit. And I talk to people all the time that use this to do large transactions, especially since streaming swaps, because they don't have access to centralized exchanges. They don't want to pay market makers. So it's really cool to see.
So wait, I mean, talking about Rune and Rune competitors, there was a lot of noise around Chainflip. It's got a fully diluted market cap of 460. They cite it like as an endorsed competitor of 𝗏𝗏chain. Like, does anyone have any views on Chainflip?
Yeah, we're investors in Chainflip too, and definitely bullish. It's like a different trade-off spectrum. Like they use USDC as the base asset rather than Rune. So like Rune is very reflexive, and like they like designing these like reflexive mechanisms into it. It's like, you know, it's just part of like what Rune is. Whereas Chainflip is going to denominate in USDC, and there's some other differences in the stack and stuff like that. But I think all these things get repriced as Rune gets repriced. Honestly,
okay,
yeah,
fair enough. Okay, guys, that is look. Unless anybody wants to throw one bonus one, I'll give it to you. If you've got itchy fingers and you feel like throwing the dogs a bone, the dogs in the chat. If you want to throw them a bone, I'll give it to you. Otherwise, we got to call it. Anyone want to throw a bone? Ishan, come on, I can see it's at the end of your lips here. Just say it.
If I'm gonna throw a last one out there, it's got to be 𝗏𝗡. But that's just me talking my bags. But I think CDK is like some of the most undervalued and underappreciated tech in the space. I think that I think it's going to get re-rated relatively soon. But I think it's still just like there's just too much going on there that there's a little bit of narrative exhaustion and there's a little bit of confusion about exactly what's happening. But once that full transition happens to POL, I think 𝗏𝗡 is going to be a massive ecosystem all by itself.
Look, guys, I can't let you have a bone from Ishan and not have another bone from Dennis. I mean, Dennis, sorry, bro, but I mean the guys in the chat, they're complaining. They say they want a bone.
For right now, it's got to be super. So super.
Okay, super farm. 𝗕𝗘𝗟𝗢𝗪 project. 𝗕𝗘𝗟𝗧 project.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
This kind of ties into a lot of things that we talked about. Ishan talked about as well with the ecosystem and everything. You guys will see. Like I talked to 𝗕𝗘𝗟𝗪 quite recently again. Things are playing out, and this is gonna be one of the easiest bets in gaming for
holy shit. So listen,
everything that's integrated.
Listen, when I told you guys I didn't actually plan to do the show, I just wanted to get free alpha. Listen, I got much more than what I fucking paid for here. This has been like the highest alpha show I think we've ever done. So I want to thank you guys. You guys are absolute fucking legends. Love you guys. The community love you guys. We got to do this again soon. So next time I run out of trade ideas and trade suggestions and bring you guys all back. Until then, much love to you guys. Thank you so much. And to you guys, the Banter fam, it's been amazing, amazing, amazing being here. Love these banters. Love this craziness. I will see you guys again after the weekend. Until then, trade well, my friends.